Bum 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 bum. Too low. Need to bring it up just a little higher next time round. Bum 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 ba da da dum bum ba ba dum ba ba dum. Bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba-dum ba ba-dum da 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 ba da 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 bum ba-da-dum ba da 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 dun, 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 dun. Hello, my friends, my mighties, and my Facebook Live friends. It's so great to see you. Hello from Houston and Los Angeles and Cincinnati and Susanville, California. And yeah, Melbourne, Florida. Good evening, my friends. Ontario. Hello from Ajax, Ontario. I know just where that is. New Jersey, Oklahoma, la la la. Oops, wrong song. Oklahoma, Southern Illinois, North Carolina, Pace, Florida, Fredonia. Hello from Fredonia. It's in my neck of the woods, Toronto. So nice to see everyone. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Joette Calabrese, and I'm here every Monday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time, to do one thing and one thing only, and that is to talk about homeopathy, teach you what I know, and have you share information as well. So for those of you who already know me, welcome, my friends. It's great to see you. Denver, Toronto, Maryland, Nebraska. Hi, we're North Carolina, Canyon Lake, California, Kansas, PA, Fort Myers. It's great to see everyone. Yes, here we are, all under the balloon. Well, not any longer, right? Talk about unification of our country, huh? Maybe that's what we need every once in a while, is a balloon to float over us. Oh, I don't even want to talk about it. There's an incident a day, isn't there? Trying to keep us on our toes or something like that. Anyway, so good to see everyone. Wonderful to see everyone here. I love to see the same people. I like to see new people. I'm here to tell you that I want you to skill up. I know that you are the people who do, who will have, who have, but pass on the good word. It's important to have these skills, these family-oriented, wholesome, real, genuine skills. Yes, hi, Kimberly from Buffalo. Yeah, Buffalo's had some cold weather, but now it's warmer again. Yes, earthquake today. I know, Buffalo had an earthquake today. Yep, it wasn't just the other side of the globe. It was Turkey. It was also Buffalo. No devastation that I'm aware of. I know Buffalo's on a fault. And every once in the great while, we have a little rumble, but that's all it was today that I understand. Or yeah, I think it was yesterday, wasn't it? It was yesterday. Yep. So let's talk about getting skilled up. One of the measures that we take is to, of course, own as many medicines as you can afford. And not just that, to own the knowledge. And I know that homeopathy seems like a very intense, vast study, and it can be. I mean, if you've ever taken any time in the repertory, this is just one of the many repertories. This is Robin Murphy's, but I also have the synthesis up here. You can see it. It's hard to do backwards like this. Synthesis. Oh no, synthesis is this one, I think. I can't see them backwards. There are lots of important repertories. I prefer this one I just showed you by Robin Murphy, the Meta Repertory. And it looks very confusing. And indeed, it can be. So my goal always is to make homeopathy as simple as possible. Boil it down, distill it down to certain patterns, to certain ways of thinking about this. Everything has patterns. If we're there to make note of them, if we're there to synthesize what we've learned, pick up on this information, that information, and as we travel through life and age, we find that having these different disciplines and understanding of them, even if it's only a modicum of them, we start putting them together and it starts building a picture. It's kind of what's happening right now in the world, wouldn't you say? There are aspects of what's happening in the world today that are a culmination of what many of us have known, some have only suspected, and some may have not really quite put together quite yet. But if we can synthesize and pull together and see these patterns, we can make sense of it all. So, although we're going to be talking about back pain tonight, I want you to take note of how the remedies that we're going to be talking about are going to be useful in other areas that have similar conditions, similar aspects of the ability of the medicine. So we're going to talk about back pain. And my first, most favorite of all is usually arnica. Now, what I like about arnica is that it's a great medicine for when someone overworks. They've caused an injury. They've fallen. They've done too much muscle building. They've twisted and fallen. The dog pulled them and it hurts their back the next day. Their big dog pulls them on a chain. Or they are pushing a piece of furniture, carrying the kids too often. That can cause somewhat of an injury. If it's an overt injury, like a fall, a blow, then it's easy. We already know what to use, don't we? We just use Arnica montana. And it doesn't mean that we have to use it in a high potency, my friends. We can use Arnica montana in just simple 200C. I love Arnica montana in a 200C. You might use it more frequently. Instead of only once or twice a day, we might use it 2, 3, 4 times the first day after an injury, right? Arnica montana. I don't think it needs to be used in a 1M as often as many people think it does. It's good in a 1M, but it's not absolutely necessary. So when you're ordering your remedies, make sure you at least have Arnica montana in a 200. And so for how long do we take it? For as long as we need it. As long as we know that it's acting, we take it for as long as it is needed. So, if there is an injury, well, let me just say this. Use it like a pain reliever because that is what it will do. It's not a pain reliever in the way that we think of in terms of synthetic drugs, but it will uproot the pain, uproot the condition so that the pain is no longer needed. What do I mean by needed? Well, symptoms are signs, and we actually need symptoms so that we can determine what medicine to use. They don't lie. So I'm kind of reading through some of these statements that people are making, questions, and hi, Deborah Dunbar. Hi, Bob Dunbar. So we're going to use it as needed. So sometimes we need arnica. Let's say there was an injury right now. The person falls down the stairs. There's a blow to the back. It's very painful. We're going to use Arnica montana 200, perhaps every 15 minutes for the first hour. Would you use it if after the third dose, the pain is considerably less and the person is actually close to pretty comfortable? No, we would not carry on. At least not that close. We would maybe repeat it in about 3 hours, or when we get a feel for whether or not when the pain returns, that's when we know, okay, it's been 3 hours. Okay, now it's time to use Arnica montana again. And so that's how we're going to determine where we go with this, what we're going to do next, how frequently to use it. So Arnica montana, it's great for athletes who overwork out, athletes who feel sick from working out. It's great for someone's talking about her husband being in the hospital. It's wonderful for pre-surgery, but we're not going to talk about that tonight because I really want to stay with back pain. But Arnica has many uses, many keynotes, and the pattern is often pain, injury, and vascular. So what I urge you to do is to pull out my Materia Medica and look up Arnica, read up on it. If you've got another Materia Medica or you have one available online, which they are available, you can take a look at them, then by all means, read up on Arnica so that you understand it. In other words, I don't want you just to get the information I give you today, jot it down, and call it a day. I want you to get this information and use it as fodder for stimulating your curiosity and going one step further, and that is reading up on the medicine. Okay, let's talk about another medicine. Okay, this is also one of my favorites. Hold on while I take a sip of water. Someone's asking about whiplash. And this next medicine is very specific for whiplash. So whiplash, of course, is up in the neck and shoulder area, but it doesn't matter where this occurs. Rhus toxicodendron. I love it in a 200C. Sometimes I use it in a 30 for more chronic conditions, but if it's an acute situation, I like it in a 200. Very, very occasionally, I urge people to use it in a 1M. But it is very specific for torticollis, whiplash, also overuse of the body. Similar to Arnica. Arnica is a little bit more on the injury side, whereas Rhus tox is more on the having overused, having strained the body, so that, let's say someone is going on a road trip and the passenger sleeping with their head cocked to the side, and they wake up 2 hours later and now their back is in pain and they have a stiff neck. That, my friends, is Rhus tox. They have overextended the muscles and tendons. They've over stressed the muscles and tendons, and so Rhus tox is our medicine. It's also a great medicine for when someone wakes up feeling stiff. So not just from a nap after having been in a contorted position, but also having slept in your normal bed with your normal pillow, waking up and feeling beat up. The back is stiff and achy, and the body is creaking, and it takes a while to get moving. And once they get moving, then it feels a little bit better. But if they sit too long in the car later in the day, it can come back again. That's Rhus tox. I also want to mention that Rhus tox is a great medicine, even though we're really not talking about this today, but because there's so many people with colds and flus, it's a great medicine for colds and flus. It's excellent, particularly if there is aching in the muscles and joints. Not unlike aching in the muscles and joints, tendons, etc., from just getting up in the morning, or a kind of arthritic sensation. That is Rhus tox. And I usually use it at 200, as I said, but when it is a cold or a flu, I'm more apt to use it perhaps at a 30. Rhus tox 30. How often? As often as needed. If it's very severe, we could use it every 15 minutes, say for 1 hour. But if, let's say, after the second dose, it's unnecessary, then we don't carry on until it again becomes necessary. So we use it as needed and we stop when we don't need it. Okay. All right. Let us see here. Let's talk about another one that's kind of unusual, It's not unusual. It just doesn't happen as easily, readily. And that's carbonicum. Carb, it's sometimes called. Carbonicum. I love this medicine for when a woman has just had a baby and she has back pain. It's so specific. You might want to use arnica first if it was a difficult birth, if she feels beat up all over, if the birthing area feels achy and beat up. But if that's not what's going on, and instead it's her back, then by all means we're going to use Kelly Carb 200. So beautiful, so beautiful. Someone just said, well, what about chronics? Any one of these can be used for chronics. Absolutely, every single one of these. The reason I'm telling you what to do for an acute is because often it can start that way and then turn into a chronic. But you would not use a medicine every 15 minutes if it was a chronic condition. You would use it twice daily. That's pretty much the difference. So if there's aching and stiffness upon waking in the morning, and the person looks like they're about 120 when they're really only 45 when they get out of bed, then Roostox 200 once or twice a day is a very good medicine for low back pain. Okay, Kelly Carb is also an acute. As I've said, that is also, yes, it's great for back pain during labor. Absolutely. Kelly Carb is amazing. It's not something that many people think of, but it's a very good one. All right, let's see what some of your questions are. Okay. People are talking about calendula. What about increasing back pain whenever sitting for more than 15 minutes? Doesn't that sound like one we just talked about? Sitting too long, being in bed. When they first get out of bed, it's stiff and achy. And then once they get moving, then things are a little bit better. That's Roostox. Whether it's from sitting or laying or in a cocked position, the head's in a cocked position or not. Anytime we see that's after being sedentary, such as having slept the night, sleeping in the car, sitting in a chair a long time, and then the person is achy, that, my friends, is Roostox. Now, we've got another one that's particularly good for worse from standing. Worse from standing. And that is bryonia. In other words, when they're laying, it's not a problem. When they're sitting, it's generally not a problem. But after having stood for a while, that is a problem. Bryonia, Bryonia. Yep. A concrete worker had Kelly Carb from I think you're saying that it's from the respiratory infection, hurt his back and took Kelly Carb and the pain went away. Beautiful. Nice job. You bet. All righty. Bryonia, worse from standing and worse from stooping. So it's not pain from sitting too long. It's not pain from having that neck crooked too long. It's not from having injured the back. It's worse from standing and stooping. Now, someone is also saying SI joint issues. Let's talk about another remedy that has pain and stiffness as well. It is Aesculus. 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 Aesculus 200. I love this medicine specifically when there's pain in the hips and or pain in the sacrum area. And there is a very specific kind of pain. It is a stiffness, a stiff pain. Absolutely. Aesculus. And I would use it in a 200. And that is often something that's a chronic condition. And we use it twice daily when it's a chronic condition. When something is an acute, we might use it more frequently, say every 15 minutes for 1 hour, and stop anytime it improves. And so what if we use Aesculus for a chronic condition, say pain and stiffness, especially in the sacral area, in the sacrum? And we use it in a 200 twice daily. And then after 3 days, the pain is gone. Do we take it forever? Do we figure, well, it worked, so let's keep going with it, like you would like taking vitamin C or vitamin D or something? No, we do not do that. This is medicine. We stop when things are much improved or when there's no improvement after we've given it its good due and we've allowed the medicine to act, but it's not acting. Time to move on. Yep. Now let's talk about scoliosis, shall we? Not all scoliosis is painful, but sometimes it is. And we're talking about the back in general. And that is a Banerjee protocol that I adore, which is Symphytum, Symphytum, Symphytum. And I've mixed that with Calc-Phos 3 twice daily. That's great for scoliosis. Now, what does that mean? Does it mean that the back is going to straighten out? Well, sometimes it does over a long period of time. Sometimes all it does is it halts the progression of the condition. Sometimes it relieves the pain, the scoliosis remains, but the pain is improved. So we're not looking for homeopathy to be an absolute 100% cure, although it has been known to do that in many instances for many conditions. But also, it's a medicine that can calm down the marching of the disease into a worse state. And then when we see that happens, if we note that over months of using Symphytum and Calc-Phos twice daily, that the scoliosis is not as bothersome, and then after months, perhaps an X-ray is taken, that there's a slight improvement. Then we know, or there's no debt, it's not marching in the wrong direction. Then we know it's the correct medicine, and we keep moving with it. We continue with it. Now, someone asked me the other day, my hair is falling, I'm gaining weight, I have dry shins, the lateral aspect of my eyebrows is missing. Every indication, I'm fatigued, every indication that there's hypothyroidism. So they wanted to start using a hypothyroid protocol and then get tested to see if it had done its job. What do you think of that? Let's just see. I realize I'm stepping outside of the realm of back pain tonight, but I'm using it as a way of thinking through these medicines, how we should be looking at using modern medicine in conjunction with homeopathy. Would this help someone with scoliosis who is 83? Why don't we give it a try? When someone asks me that question, will this work for this person? Because they're thinking, well, not that person. It won't work for them. Or it wouldn't work for me. We're always looking for ways to see that it might not work. I don't know, if I had my parent or friend or someone I knew was 83 years old and they had scoliosis and they were suffering, would I say, nah, you're 83. What do you expect? These medicines are inexpensive, my friends. $12, sometimes as much as $18. Very, very inexpensive. Easy to take. Why not? Right? Why not? Let's see. See if the symptoms improve rather than a lab test. Right on pat. I think you need to get the testing before using the protocol. Well, it could be useful. Let's say they had gotten the testing. I skipped that step. You're right. It would be a good idea to get a test. Yep. Lori says, hypothyroidism, I'd give homeopathy a try. Yep. And when the hair stops falling and the weight is no longer increasing and the dry skin is not as severe and the fatigue has melted away and the lateral aspect of the eyebrows are not still, they're not losing it, the hair in the eyebrows, after having used or while using the homeopathic protocol for hypothyroidism, do you need a test to tell you that you're improving? The most valuable aspect in many cases is what the symptoms present, right? The symptoms are gifts. They tell us what to do. We don't interpret them, we use them to determine which homeopathic medicine needs to be chosen. Just like I said here, what are the symptoms of the remedies I just taught you? Pain and stiffness for Aeschylus, bryonia, worse from movement, worse from standing, worse from stooping, Rhus tox, worse on first movement after having been sedentary or a stiff neck, Kelly carb, worse after giving birth. See where we're going here? We've got all the information that we need. It doesn't mean we never use tests. It certainly does not mean that. But what it does mean is let's not overuse these tests. If you're better, you're better. If you've got a cold and you're dying to get to that doctor to find out what kind of cold it is, whether or not it's this kind or that kind, we just gotta know. Why do you gotta know? It is what it is. Take the homeopathic medicines. When it goes away, do you have to go back and find out that indeed it was that or that you're better? Logic. Reminds me of the well baby checkups where the baby's well, but the mom is shamed into believing that she must go in to see the doctor because that's the responsible thing to do. And what does the doctor do? He measures the baby's head. He measures the length of the baby and then usually sells the mom on a procedure. You know what I'm talking about, what procedure that is. Something invasive. And then calls it a day. Now, what I would say is get yourself a tape measure and measure the head yourself. Measure the length of the baby yourself. You weigh the baby. And use your common sense and look at that baby. Is that baby well? If the baby is well, that's your well baby checkup. You've just checked up on your baby. We do not want invasive procedures. We don't want an upsell of products with the idea that what we're going for is to find out if the baby's well and we're being responsible. I think it's much more responsible to take on the responsibility. Now, if something comes along and you're lost and you don't know what to do and this child is really sick and you've got to find out and you can't use homeopathy, you don't have a good chiropractor, you're at a loss, now you go. Now you go to get someone else's help. That's the way I want people to start thinking. I want you to take it back, my friends. Take it back about 60 years. Roll it back, because you see how far we've come because we didn't roll it back. Roll it back, my friends. Yes, your grandkids are going to benefit greatly from your skilling up. You're absolutely right, Heather. You're absolutely right. Yep. Yeah, you're in my tribe too, Lori. I love it. I love it. Love being with you folks. Love that people are catching on to this. The industry / government has overplayed their hand. I'm hoping that people are catching on. This is stuff that we have known, those of us who've been in this alternative medicine world have known for a long time. Even before I knew homeopathy, I'd been reading about what's been going on in big industry and government, lobbyists, etc. That's just the beginning. No worries with thyroid. Inum, as you let your symptoms tell you when to take it. For a sluggish of one like me, sluggish or one like me who has no thyroid, got radiated in 1987 before any homeopath in the US could help me with Graves' disease. You know what's interesting is that the thyroid has a reputation for growing back, not fully necessarily, but the tissue can often grow back. I always believe that there is some hope. And so I'm not telling you what to do, but I am telling you to consider looking into these medicines, regardless of where you are in the chronology of the illness or what happened in the past. A lot of times what holds us back from learning how to use homeopathy or using homeopathy is our beliefs. We believe it's not possible. We believe that we don't know what a well baby looks like. We believe that somebody else knows how to parent better than we do. We believe that the public school system knows better how to raise up our children than we do. So I urge you to do as much as you possibly can to not outsource your life, especially in the areas that are super important: our health, our food, the care of our family. And so with that, it's wonderful to see you all. It's great to see you. I see all the hearts. I'm sending them back to you, my friends. See you next week. We'll continue talking about pain. There's a lot of good stuff, a lot of good remedies. And I want you to see these patterns. Arnica shows up again and again. Bryonia shows up again and again. So when you see that there are these patterns, these synthesizing from different areas of our lives and from different homeopathic medicines, how they all come together. Most of them come together. Remember also, if you're interested in pain, I have a whole course. Go to Joette's Learning Center on my blog and look under pain, and you'll find a course that you can use yourself. And so with that, I say, God bless all of you. Have a great week. Bye now.